All right, Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, partsbreakers.com, 303-666-9020. It is May 11th. It is Mother's Day, 2025. Happy Mother's Day to Mom and my wife and every other mom out there that I've never met. My sisters and all them. All right. Listing a 2000 and... This is a 2002 tub. I thought at first it was an 03 to 06. So the 02 tubs, and I have a video on it, I'm not going to go into huge detail, are technically one-offs. They're the only year that has a mixture of an 03 to 06 and a 97 to 01. And you can check that out. Now, there's really not a big modification that has to be done if you go to the 97 to 01 with this tub, which is typically when we sell this one. And the only modification you have to do if you want to use this on an 03 to 06 is to either set this up for the 03 to 06 rear seat. Front seats are the same, bracket places and all that. The seats themselves are different, but the brackets holes are the same. But on the rear, the bracket holes are different. Or use a 97 to 02 rear seat. So there's a couple other little nuances, but they're nothing major on them. And we can set it up either or. Well, not really set it up either or. We can kind of tell you what you need to do to set it up either or. Or if you happen to have an 02, then fantastic. This is, I believe, what they call the Patriot Blue. And surprisingly, out of all the 02s I've had, and we've had a number of them over the years, we get a lot of these blue ones. So they must have did a lot of these in those years. This is a nice grade A tub. There's nothing that needs to be done body-wise with rust. It is rust-free. There's a little bit of surface on the passenger floorboard. I'll show you that here in a second. But it's really not anything more than just a little light wire wheel or abrasive. But it's not cancer, it's not rot, it's not, and again, I'll show you that here just shortly. So, but let's go through it. There's definitely some scratches on this tub. So if you're hoping for, put it on and, go to town on it, you could do that for sure. However, if it's blue that you're seeking, there's definitely going to be some scratches. So a paint pen, they're not big scratches, but enough that, a paint pen would be helpful. Unless you don't care about some scratches, then we're good to go. Otherwise, the tub is, like I said, is a gorgeous tub. So the cowling is good. There's no bends. It wasn't in an accident. I usually won't mess with them when they're wrecked. We don't really, in the course of probably the 200, 250, 300 Jeeps we buy a year, I would say only about 2% come in wrecked. And those are usually ones that come in local. Somebody comes in and says, hey, I wrecked my Jeep. And otherwise, we don't even pursue them at auction. We stay away from the junk auctions. And part of that is because we want to go after tubs and we want to go after frames. And also, it's very difficult sometimes if they've been mangled to get good mechanical parts out of them, at least to test them. Because a lot of times they're... and Jeeps are notorious, by the way, if they've been hitting the front pretty hard or the corners of the front, they'll shear the motor mount casting block mounts right off of them. So the motor almost becomes useless at that point. All right, so again, firewall, cowling, this is all really clean. The sides, the corners are awesome. All through here, a couple scratches there. A little bevel down at the bottom there, probably for moving it around. It's a real light where they spot weld those in. So the nice thing is you can get back in here and spot weld it. It's right where my foot is. You can kind of see it bulging out there a little bit. So I always want to just show you everything on it. My whole point to these videos is I've been doing this for 21 years. I've never had a tub or a frame come back, and I've never had somebody be dissatisfied with it. Part of the reason is because if you haven't figured it out yet, these videos are there to make it so you can feel like you're standing right next to me. Obviously, most of our customers are thousands of miles away. So on that note, we do have an upcoming trip. We usually run trips every 6 to 8 weeks. But when I do them, if I'm lucky to do them, and I'm going to start being able to do a little bit more of them, although the tubs are getting a little bit more scarce, ironically, and that's been going on for years. But just, the longer these things get out there, the less they are. It took me a while. This last go round, got a dinger right there in the corner. Corners are pretty typical. It took me a while this last go round when we flushed out the last bit of them to get any more in. So they are getting scarce. And I know there will be a time where they'll be just like the old CJs. So, and part of that reason is because TJs are now selling more whole than they were parting. It was always the rule of thumb. I think you've always heard, oh, they're worth more in parts. And yeah, that's kind of how I got into this a long time ago. was they were worth a good amount in parts. They took a lot of labor to do, a lot of inventory and whatnot, but it was worth it for the payout. Now, if we get a good one in that's close to running, and there's actually one listed right now, a really beautiful 99 TJ Black Sahara, low miles, brand new tranny we just put in it. Had a bad tranny to begin with. We're fixing them. And that's because they're worth so much, like I said, whole. You can't really look at them and go, oh, I can get this much out of it if I part it. To be honest with you, it's worth as much as that or more whole oftentimes. So, okay. But because we're still in the parts business, as you can see, 7 acres out here in the rust-free part of the country, we are going to continue to do them here and there, as much as we can. So when it makes sense. Anyway, all right, so the floor, beautiful. It's not all overloaded. The way you can tell an overloaded rear trunk area is when they get real wavy. And you can tell somebody's just they were carrying their weights to the gym kind of like. So this one's perfect, nice and flat, just like it should be. The wheel wells are perfect. You can tell there's never been any damage from it being rolled over, because the back ends like to buckle on them pretty easily if they've been tipped. And there's some other tall tale signs too, but we run Carfaxes on them. We do that for 2 reasons. 1, we don't want to buy a fixed Jeep that's been wrecked. And 2, we want to make sure that our Jeeps are truly rust-free areas that they're coming out of. So if you're buying a Jeep and the thing's sitting in, let's just say Colorado, where we are, for example, or Nevada, these are all pretty rust-free areas. We don't use salt on the roads like they do out in the Midwest, East Coast. However, it's important to still do your due diligence, call around and make sure, because a lot of people are moving into our area, and then the auctions are crooked as they can be. They're importing everything that's out of the Rust Belt into these states because they know buyers are unsuspecting of it. So do your due diligence, run Carfaxes if you're going to play around at auctions. Otherwise, trust me, I've been there before, you will end up with having to replace a tub. A lot of times people know that their tubs or frames are going bad. It really sucks, and I've seen it all too many times when you buy something unsuspecting of rust. The previous owner told you there was none. Beautiful, rust-free, blah, blah, blah. And you get it back, take it in for an oil change. This is literally a story that not too long ago happened. And find out from the mechanic that the cross member was welded back into place. So we have a Jeep right now that we're working on for a gal here in town that happened a few years ago. And she's kind of layawaying it, which is totally fine. We like to help people where we can on it. So we told her that we can work it out. It's just been a few years on it, but it's all good. Okay, so floorboards are solid. Again, this is that area you're starting to see bare metal show up, so you get some oxidation in this. A little bit browning, but still smooth. Nothing soft here. Nothing you'll have to replace, okay? So again, treat it however you want. You can do it as simple as wire wheel, or as simple as hand sandpaper, or you can media blast, sandblast the whole thing if you want, if you're going for that and you don't really care about the color to begin with. But definitely get it in here and treat it, and then coat this back over with something that neutralizes that rust and oxidation, okay? But that's the extent of that guy. Look at the roll bar feet. Not only do you not have to worry about any broken bolts, which is usually a given almost on any tub, even the clean ones, but they're beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. So, okay, the only bracket that did not get pulled and dismantled that will be coming off is this bracket right here. It's a torque shift bracket. We sell the heck out of those things. That one will be coming off, so it's not included. If you need one of those, no big deal, just let me know, okay? And there's some water in this, just because I just washed it. But it's all nice and smooth under here. No rust, no nothing. Ironically, the driver's side usually is the one that's a little bit more like that. And who knows, they might have had somebody constantly kicking their feet on the carpet. This had carpet in it. So carpet's really good, except for when the tops are off. And then tops are off, they get dust underneath them, and then it just becomes its own sandpaper. So, but again, not too bad on this guy. So I'm going to pause the video real quick. I'm going to flip it up on its side so you can see the underside, and I'll tell you why here in a second and why that's so crucial and why you should be getting videos when you're buying big parts like this. I love the pause. That's something new these new iPhones do. For years, I just had to say, hang on, look up at the sky while I do this. Now, I did this by myself. This is about my 13th tub in 2 days that I've listed. And we had a variety of tubs, a couple YJs, several TJs, and 2 CJs, which is really rare. The reason I'm telling you that story is because I'm worn out. These things are not super heavy, but by myself, and they still weigh about 500 pounds. They're super awkward, but when we get there to unload it, whether I do it or our hot shot crew does it, It's amazing when you have a forklift or something to back up to yank it off with. If you don't, it's not a huge deal. Enlist your neighbors, your family members if you can. And if you can't do that and you're not even going to be there, I did this once and it wasn't too bad, and I'll do it myself, but if it's our hot shot, you would have to have some help there. But you can use an old Ryder wagon, just the little red ones you see everywhere. Put some 2x4s across and lengthwise on them. And if we drag it off right, especially if we have a second set of hands, you can dolly them up. So I'm sure you can figure it out. I just like to, everybody is like, well, how do they get there? And where do you deliver? Well, we deliver to your house, or otherwise we'll deliver to a shop. We can pretty much deliver wherever you want when we do it. When the freight companies used to do it, that was a whole different ball game, okay? So now, when it comes to a tub, the top and the sides are very important, but what's most important and is the most expensive to repair if you have to is the bottom. And it's mainly these torque pockets, okay? And you got two, they're big, they're about 5 feet long. They start at the front, there have been factory spot welded all the way down. They're like the ribs of your tub on both sides here, okay? You can really see this one here. Okay, it's a little, this one's under coating here, but you can see the spot welding here. To cut these out or to drill them out, you almost, in order to replace just this torque pocket, you'd almost have to drill out every spot weld and then still fight the thing, getting the thing off, and then put it back in. Because if you cut this out, you're gonna cut right into the bottom of that tub and pretty much junk your tub. And I've seen that many times. People go, oh, I just cut this out, and then they realize, crap, I've just taken out every bit of support this tub had. So, not important to do on this one. Why? Because the torque pockets are absolutely cellular, grade A, perfect, okay? And we're gonna count them off. I always do that in our videos. So you got thread here, okay? Nice clean threads too, as well as your fender supports, okay? A little bit of damage. I like to show everything, right? So if I see something as we're doing this, I'll show you. Matter of fact, let's just talk about, there's that little buckle I was telling you about right there, okay? And I know exactly when this happened. You can see the fresh paint. This is actually something I did earlier, which is a bummer, so I will discount this. But this needs to be put back, tap back in and re-welded, that spot weld. Otherwise, don't mess with it. If you're going to be putting a slider on, this will actually pull straight. But this happened when I let it down earlier, and I let it down a little too hard, and it buckled the top right here. So this is something I did, and it's after doing everything we do to damage my own stuff is not something I want to see or do. So like I said, my mistake will cost me some money. And it'll save you some, but it will take a little bit of your time or somebody else's time away. So that's the only thing on this, and therefore this was an A. This is now an A minus, which is like I said, an absolute, just like a little boy when he gets frustrated, punches himself in the head, which I tell him not to do. I always tell him, don't punch that little guy, that's my guy, you know. But I feel like the same when I do stupid ass shit like that. So very, very bummed. But anyway, didn't ruin the whole tub. We still got a lot of good things on it. And so 1, 2, 3. Okay, those are your 3 main channel ones. And look at the pockets. There's no cracking. There's not even a bleed through. Sometimes these things will start leaching, and you can start seeing them wear through. They'll get on the sides here. These are absolutely beautiful. Okay, so we got those 3. We got the bottom. There's 4, 5, 6. Okay, those are your main ones. And then you got 2 above your gas tank skid, or your tank. You won't be able to see. Yes, they're supposed to move. That's how you help align the captured nuts in there. That's how you align your frame, okay? So we got 7 and 8, and then your last 2, 9 and 10. And look, no broken bolts, so a little bit of tinkering with some of the stuff on the side, but overall, this is still a very, very clean tub and very, very beautiful. So, okay. That rear boxed area is absolutely crucial to make sure is in good shape, because those are the other area that if they're in the Midwest or East Coast, they usually blow out, and that one is absolutely perfect. There's not a lick of problems with it. So these little tabs, if you were wondering, all of your Jeep TJs have them, okay? This one's been up here, but it's there. You can bend it back. They provision. Excuse me. Oh, man, that hurt a rib. They provisioned all the tubs to allow, in case it was a Sahara or one of the upgraded trims, and they had that clad molding. So if you happen to have a Sahara, you'll have the provisions on the bottom. You'll need to put the holes to the side, which is Easy. I'd almost rather have it like this than the other way, because if you don't have a Sahara and it was a Sahara tub, then you got to fill the holes in. So there's a little ding there while I'm talking. You can see the little ding in that lower rocker, and a little one there, a little scratch, Again, there's that little bump I can't stop looking at now. That's that. So, all right. Anything else I missed, let me know. 303-666-9020. I'll finish my photos. There is one frame left to list tonight. I've been out of frames for 6-cylinder TJs and 4-cylinder 9702 TJs for almost 8 months, and I happen to have one 9702 6-cylinder grade A, one 0306 6-cylinder grade A, one 0306 2.4 grade A, and one 9702 4-cylinder grade A. I have one of each right now. Those will not last. The latter two, the 4-cylinders, are not listed. The 6-cylinders, both are going to be. One is already listed. The other one is on the pad there, and that's about to get listed. So if you happen to need one of those or need anything else, especially big parts, while you're purchasing a tub or a frame or both, it will save you some money, quite a bit of money actually, when it comes to hauling them out there to you. So gas tank skid plates, cross members, axles, front clips, especially hoods, doors, tailgates, windshield frames, anything else that's huge. The little stuff we can package to you later, or we can ship with alongside of it as well. But I always mention the big stuff because it's the stuff that later on you go, ugh, and how much is it going to be? That little stuff can cost more than getting this tub to you, because we don't hot shot little parts, and we don't bring them out ourselves that often, unless you're buying a tub and a frame. Then they can come along with it. So, all right, thanks so much. Happy Mother's Day again. Have a great rest of your evening, and God bless y'all.